What destroys more men, the sword of their enemies, or the illusions they forge for themselves? You believe you are one, fixed and whole, yet in truth you are nothing but a collection of masks, shifting with every gaze that falls upon you. Power does not belong to the honest soul who bears himself to the world, but to the one who understands that appearances command obedience more than essence ever will. To unleash your true potential, you must learn the dangerous art of shaping perception, for only then will the world bow to what it thinks you are. Would you dare to hear how? Every man is many men, though he foolishly believes himself to be only one. The world convinces him to cling to a single identity, a fixed self that he parades as truth. Yet, truth is never fixed, and power does not lie in showing yourself naked to the crowd. Power belongs to the one who knows how to craft masks, who knows that men are moved not by essence, but by appearance. What they see, they believe. What they believe, they obey. To unleash your full potential, you must master the art of disguise, for the world is not kind to the unguarded soul, but bows to the figure that commands perception. Consider how often men fail, not because they lacked talent, but because they lacked awareness of how others saw them. A soldier with courage, but without presence, will be overlooked, while a coward who dons the mask of bravery may inspire armies. A man of wisdom who speaks timidly will be dismissed, while a fool who wears the mask of authority will be followed. This is the injustice of human nature, but it is also its greatest opportunity. If you are clever enough to understand that men judge not the core but the surface, then you will stop wasting your time polishing your essence, and instead learn to master the stage upon which you are seen. Do not mistake this for deceit is clumsy. It is not about tricking the world with lies, but about shaping perception with skill. Even the most virtuous man must wear a mask if he wishes to be heard, for raw virtue without theater is invisible. If you are kind but appear weak, your kindness will be mocked. If you are wise but appear uncertain, your wisdom will be ignored. To unlock your full potential, you must understand that the mask is not falsehood. It is the bridge between what you are and what the world is willing to receive. Yet beware, for the mask you wear will also shape you. A man who consistently dons the mask of confidence eventually finds himself becoming confident. One who wears the mask of authority will feel authority in his bones. The mask is both a tool and a mirror. It not only commands others, it reshapes the self. Thus, the danger is not in wearing masks, but in wearing them unconsciously. He who wears a mask without knowing he does so is a puppet. He who wears it deliberately is a master. Ask yourself then, what mask do you wear, and what masks have you neglected? Are you enslaved to a single face, believing it to be your only truth, or are you bold enough to craft many? The man who possesses only one mask is predictable, vulnerable, and easily destroyed. But the man who commands many can adapt to every battlefield, every room, every set of eyes that turn upon him. And in this mastery of appearance lies the first step to unleashing the full measure of your power. Comfort is the most seductive prison a man will ever know, for it does not confine with chains, but with cushions. It whispers promises of safety, ease, and rest, lulling the spirit into stillness until the fire of ambition grows cold. Many men who could have ruled, created, and conquered have instead surrendered to the soft tyranny of comfort, mistaking survival for living, mistaking peace for greatness. It is not the sword of an enemy that ruins most lives, but the pillow of convenience pressed gently against their will. To unleash your full potential, you must declare war on this false friend, for comfort feeds you only enough to keep you quiet while it robs you of your hunger. Ask yourself, when have you grown the most? Was it in times of ease, when the world laid itself at your feet? Or was it in moments of hardship, when survival demanded strength you did not know you had? Greatness is born in friction, not in stillness. The man who seeks to unleash his true power must learn to love discomfort, as a sculptor loves the strike of his chisel. For every blow shapes him into something sharper, stronger, and unbreakable. Comfort makes you heavy, struggle makes you swift. Comfort dulls the mind, challenge sharpens it. Understand this: the world does not admire the man who stays within his warm bed. It admires the one who rises while others sleep, who endures when others complain, who refuses the drug of comfort even when it is freely offered. Such a man grows while the rest of the world stagnates. And when the day comes that strength and will are demanded, he alone is ready. There is also danger in believing that comfort is stability. Stability is never real. It is a mirage. Empires collapse, wealth disappears, love fades, health deteriorates. The man who has been pampered by comfort will shatter when these illusions fall away. But the one who has hardened himself against ease will endure any storm. To unleash your full potential, you must see comfort for what it is, a sweet poison, and resist it as you would resist the hand of an enemy. Even discipline, when too familiar, can become another form of comfort. The man who repeats the same routine endlessly may appear strong, but if he never pushes beyond it, he becomes stagnant. True power lies not in building a nest of safety around yourself, but in constantly testing the limits of your endurance, in choosing the path that unsettles you, in walking toward the very thing that demands more of you than you think you can give. Greatness will not meet you where you are comfortable. It waits in the cold, in the unknown, in the fire of trial. Only the man who dares to step out of the soft prison and embrace discomfort as his companion will ever come to know the full measure of his strength. Most men spend their lives hiding their flaws. Terrified that the world will expose them, they polish their strengths, parade their virtues, and bury what they perceive as weakness under layers of shame. Yet in doing so, they cripple themselves, for what they suppress remains a weapon left to rust. The truth is that your weaknesses are not chains unless you allow them to be. They are raw material, rough and unshaped, waiting to be forged into instruments of power. The difference between the man who is broken by his flaws and the man who rules through them is not circumstance, but cunning. Look carefully at your own imperfections. Perhaps you are too stubborn, too restless, too ruthless, too doubtful. The timid man, if he learns to wield his caution, becomes a strategist who never falls into traps. The restless man, if he disciplines his energy, becomes a force that outpaces all rivals. The one mocked for his cruelty may, when properly directed, wield it as resolve in moments when softness destroys lesser men. Even your vices can be converted to assets if you learn how to channel them. The world will always try to convince you that weakness is something to erase, but erasure leaves you hollow. Transformation leaves you unstoppable. Think of history. How many rulers rose not because they lacked flaws, but because they wielded them? The ambitious man, consumed by hunger, bends his obsession into conquest. The distrusted man, scorned by allies, turns secrecy into mastery of intrigue. The one who suffers humiliation transforms his shame into a relentless will to rise above all who once mocked him. Weakness becomes weapon only when embraced, studied, and sharpened, never when denied. But understand this: you cannot simply wear your flaws as they are and expect victory. A raw blade without honing is as dangerous to its wielder as to his enemy. To unleash your full potential, you must take what is crooked and carve it straight. Take what is wild and bend it to your will. This requires both ruthless honesty and ruthless creativity. To lie to yourself about your flaws is to hand them as gifts to your rivals. To face them without fear is to begin to master them. Men will always look for vulnerability in you, and they will think they have found it in your imperfections. This is your advantage, for when they strike at what they believe to be your weakness, they find instead a weapon concealed in plain sight. The cleverest victories are won not with the strengths your enemies expect, but with the weaknesses they dismiss. Your flaws are not curses. They are hidden tools. To unleash your full potential, you must stop hiding them and begin forging them into the very blades with which you carve your destiny. He who cannot rule his own emotions will forever be ruled by others. Rage, envy, fear, desire. These are the strings by which men are made into puppets, and those who cannot master them are condemned to dance at the will of sharper minds. Do you think armies fall only to superior weapons? No, they often collapse because fear spread like a plague. Do you think kingdoms are lost only to stronger rulers? No, they crumble because envy and pride blinded their leaders. A man's greatest victories and his greatest defeats are born not on the battlefield, but in the silent theater of his own heart. To unleash your full potential, you must first build dominion over your inner world. Anger may burn hot, but a controlled flame can forge steel. Left ungoverned, it consumes you and leaves nothing but ash. Fear, when disciplined, sharpens awareness and keeps you alive. But when it takes command, it paralyzes you and robs you of opportunity. Even love, the most celebrated of emotions, can enslave a man when it blinds him, yet can elevate him when guided with clarity and purpose. Emotions are not enemies, they are wild horses. Harness them, and they will carry you far. Let them run wild, and they will drag you into ruin. Observe those who are ruled by their feelings. They speak when they should be silent. They act when patience was wiser. They trust when suspicion was needed, and they despair when courage was demanded. Such men are easy prey, for they reveal their intentions in the heat of their passions, and every rival knows how to strike them. The man who wishes to unleash his true potential must learn to remain unreadable, his face a mask, his heart a fortress. Let your enemies guess at your feelings, but never confirm them. He who cannot be read cannot be controlled. This mastery requires discipline. It is not achieved by denial, for the man who suppresses his emotions entirely becomes brittle and cold, vulnerable in another way. No, the key is to use emotions as servants, never as masters. When fury rises, let it fuel your determination, but never dictate your words. When fear whispers, let it sharpen your vigilance, but never freeze your hand. The one who bends emotions to his will gains a power few men ever grasp, freedom from the invisible chains that bind nearly all. The world belongs to those who act with calculation, while others are blinded by passion. The man who remains calm, while all around him are drowning in their feelings, holds a weapon stronger than any sword. He holds clarity. And clarity, in the struggle for survival and greatness, is worth more than strength, more than wealth, more than allies. Only when you sit upon the throne of your own emotions can you claim to rule anything beyond yourself. To become more than what you are, you must be willing to abandon who you have been. Most men cling to their old selves as though identity were a crown to be preserved. Not realizing it is the very weight that keeps them crawling instead of ascending. They rehearse the same stories about themselves, the same excuses, the same limitations, until their past becomes a prison. Yet, no man can unleash his full potential while dragging the corpse of his former self behind him. To rise higher, You must be ruthless enough to kill the person you were yesterday, and bold enough to step into the figure you must become. Understand this. Evolution is not gentle. It demands sacrifice. The comforts of familiarity, the approval of those who know you, the routines that feel safe, these must all be cast aside. To cling to them is to choose stagnation. The snake that refuses to shed its skin suffocates. So too does the man who refuses transformation. You cannot speak of greatness while holding on to the timid habits of mediocrity. You cannot imagine ruling your fate while serving the ghost of your old weaknesses. Reinvention is not optional, it is survival. But reinvention requires clarity of vision. It is not enough to shed the past without a form to grow into. Otherwise you are merely drifting. Ask yourself, who must I become to wield the power I desire? What must I strip away? What must I sharpen? Ruthless self-evolution demands that you look at yourself without pity. If your pride weighs you down, cut it away. If your indulgences weaken you, burn them out. If your associations pull you backward, sever them without hesitation. You must be sculptor and stone at once, striking blow after blow until the weaker parts of you are destroyed. There will be resistance both from within and without. Your own habits will cling to you like vines, and those around you will demand you remain the person they are comfortable with. They will call you arrogant, heartless, unrecognizable, because your evolution threatens their own complacency. But pay them no mind. The opinions of others belong to who you were, not who you must become. If you falter because they cannot bear your transformation, then you have chosen their comfort over your destiny. Every man is offered countless chances to evolve, yet few seize them. They wait until life forces change through disaster or loss, instead of seizing change with deliberate will. The powerful do not wait for catastrophe. They kill their past selves before fate does it for them. This is the true mark of strength, the courage to end one life and begin another while still breathing. If you dare to reinvent yourself with such ruthless clarity, you will terrify some, inspire others, and command respect from all. For nothing is more feared nor more admired than the man who cannot be pinned to his past, but instead rises again and again, each time greater than before. Desire without strategy is nothing but hunger, and hunger without direction consumes more than it creates. Many men are ruled by ambition, but few know how to wield it. They chase glory blindly, exhausting themselves in battles that bring no victory, in pursuits that leave them weaker rather than stronger. To unleash your full potential, you must align your ambition with calculation, for a man who moves without a plan is not driven by power, but by chaos. Think of the gambler who wagers everything on chance, mistaking recklessness for courage. He may feel the fire of ambition in his chest, but without precision, he loses all he owns. Compare him to the strategist, who with patience and foresight invests his ambition like a blade sharpened over years, striking only when the moment assures him victory. The difference is not in the scale of desire, but in the discipline to guide it. The greatest triumphs are never accidents. They are the offspring of hunger disciplined by thought. Every man has ambition burning within him, but not every man has the wisdom to measure it against reality. To dream of power without studying the battlefield is foolishness. To crave success without building the means to achieve it is self-destruction. You must learn to see beyond your impulses and measure each desire against the price it demands. A great ambition is worthless if it leaves you vulnerable, and even a small ambition, if well calculated, can elevate you above rivals who are blinded by grand illusions. This does not mean you should tame your ambition into something timid. On the contrary, your hunger must remain fierce. for without it there is no movement, no conquest, no fire. But it must be a hunger guided by discipline, every step deliberate, every risk weighed, every opportunity studied. The man who moves with precision multiplies the strength of his ambition tenfold, for he wastes nothing. Observe those who rule, they do not grasp at every chance. They choose carefully, allowing lesser men to burn themselves out in fruitless pursuits, while they wait, watch, and prepare. When they act, it is with a single decisive stroke that secures what others failed to seize despite years of effort. This is the power of ambition wedded to calculation, the ability to move at the exact moment when fortune cannot deny you. The world does not reward desire alone, it rewards results, and results are never born of ambition without structure. They are the fruit of deliberate action, guided by cunning, rooted in patience, and executed with precision. Only when your ambition ceases to be a wild fire and becomes a controlled blaze will you unlock the fullness of your potential, consuming not yourself, but everything that stands in your path.